Bear with me.
Okay.
So hi, everyone. I'm glad to see you all here today. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to my presentation on cognitive biases. This presentation is for my PIDP 3300, Teaching Adults with the Brain in Mind. This presentation will explore exactly what cognitive biases are. We will look at understanding cognitive biases is crucial to the educational setting. We will also talk about different types of cognitive biases and their impact on learning from both student and teacher perspectives. We will also investigate strategies to mitigate cognitive biases. Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. So let's get started. What exactly are cognitive biases? Cognitive biases refer to a systematic pattern of deviation from norm in rationality and judgment, where individuals create their own subjective reality based on their perceptions. These biases often stem from the brain's attempt to simplify information processing, which can lead to errors in decision. Oh, I skipped this. Sorry, guys. Which can lead to errors in perception. These biases often stem from the brain's attempt to simplify information, which can lead to errors in decision making and judgment. Cognitive bias is a tendency to act in an irrational way due to limited abilities and process. It is not always negative, but can cloud our judgment and affect how clearly we perceive situations. Dr. Annette Vargas suggests that cognitive biases are unconscious and an automatic process designed to make decision-making quicker and more efficient. Cognitive biases can be found by many things such as mental shortcuts, social pressures, and emotions. Broadly speaking, bias is a tendency to lean in favor or against a group, person, idea, or things, usually in an unfair way. Biases are natural, they are a product of human nature, and they don't simply exist in our minds. They affect the way we make decisions. In psychology, there are two main branches of biases, conscious and unconscious. Conscious or explicit is intentional. You are aware of your attitudes and the behaviors resulting from them. Explicit biases can be good because they help you provide you with a sense of identity and they can lead you to making good decisions. An example would be being biased towards healthy food. However, these biases can often be dangerous when they take the form of conscious stereotyping. But on the other hand, unconscious bias or cognitive biases represent a set of unintentional biases. You are unaware of your attitude and the behaviors resulting from them. Research shows that there are over more than 180 different types of cognitive biases. And understanding cognitive bias is crucial in the educational setting for several reasons. When educators recognize their own cognitive biases, they can create a more effective teaching strategies. They can evolve. Oh, I've done this again. For instance, avoid confirmation biases and can lead to more balanced and accurate information being presented to the students. Awareness of bias ensures fair grading and assessing teachers who are aware of the halo effect, for example, are less likely to be their overall impression of the students influence evaluation. Teaching students about cognitive biases help them become critical thinkers. They learn to question their assumptions and to evaluate information more rigorously. Understanding biases like stereotyping can promote a more inclusive classroom environment. Educators can work to counteract biases that might affect their expectations and interactions with students from diverse backgrounds. Educators often make decisions that affect students' educational experience and outcomes. Being aware of biases can lead to more rational, well-considered decisions. Reducing biases ensure that all students have an equal opportunity to succeed regardless of their background or personal characteristics. In summary, understanding cognitive biases can lead to a more effective teaching, fairer assessment, and more inclusive and equitable educational environment. This in turn enhances learning outcomes and promotes critical thinking among students. Let's take a look at some of the cognitive biases that I researched myself. The first one we're going to look at is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a tendency to listen more often to information that confirms our existing beliefs. Through this bias, people tend to favor information that reinforce things that they already think or believe. Some examples would be paying attention only to information that confirms our beliefs about issues such as politics or global warming. Only following people on social media who share our viewpoints. Choosing news sources that present stories that support our views. Or could be refusing to listen to opposing sides. Not considering all the facts in a logical and rational manner. There are a few reasons why this happens. One is that only seeking to confirm existing opinions help limit mental resources we need to make the decisions. It also helps us protect self-esteem by making people feel that their beliefs are accurate. People on two sides of an issue can listen to the same story and walk away with different interpretations that validate their existing belief. This is often indicative that confirmation bias is working to bias their opinion. The problem is that it can lead to poor choices and inability to listen to opposing views or even contribute to othering people who hold different opinions. The next one we're going to look at is anchoring bias. Anchoring bias is a cognitive phenomenon that impacts various aspects of human decision making. It occurs when individuals rely too heavily on the initial piece of information they receive, hence the name anchoring, and it allows it to influence their judgments. Understanding anchoring bias. Anchoring bias stems from the tendency of human mind to use the first available piece of information as a reference point for evaluating subsequent data. This heuristic can be simplified decision-making processing by often leads to skewed and biased judgments. The anchor serves as a cognitive shortcut, providing a starting point for evaluation, but it can result in underestimations or overestimations when assessing new information. Some implications of anchoring bias is first impressions. Teachers may form initial judgments about a student based on their first interactions, which can influence future evaluations and interactions. For example, if a student performs poorly on their first assignment, the teacher might unconsciously assume the student is generally less capable, even if the student's subsequent work improves. Grading. When it comes to grading assignments or exams, teachers might be influenced by the performance of the first few papers they review. If the first few papers are of high quality, the teacher might set high standards for the rest and vice versa, and can lead to inconsistencies in grading. Feedback. The initial feedback a student receives can anchor their perception of their own abilities. If a student receives overcritically feedback early on, it might develop a negative self-image and lack of confidence, even if they improve over time. Curriculum development. Anchoring biases can also affect how educators develop and revise curricula. If the outdated or flawed textbook is used in the primary reference, it might influence and structure a content curriculum, leading to inaccuracies or suboptimal teaching methods. Student self-assessments. Students themselves can fall prey to anchoring biases. If the initial low grade, they might anchor their self-assessment around the grade and believe that they are not capable of achieving higher, affecting their motivation and their effort. By being aware of the anchoring bias, educators can take steps to mitigate its effects, such as using rubrics for consistent grading, offering balanced feedback, and fostering growth mindset in students. The next one I researched a little was the curse of knowledge. It's a cognitive bias that all teachers should be aware of. The curse of knowledge is a cognitive bias where someone, typically an expert or an educator, assumes that others have the same level of knowledge or understanding as they do. This bias can significantly impact learning in educational settings. Educators who are subject to the curse of knowledge might explain concepts in a way that are far too complex or advanced for the students. They might skip essential foundational steps, assuming that students already understand these points, leading to confusion and gaps in learning. Teachers may move through material too quickly because they assume that the students are grasping these concepts as swiftly as what they did. This can leave students feeling overwhelmed and struggling to keep up. Educators affected by bias might lack empathy for students struggling, thinking that if they understood the material as easily, then their students should as well. This can result in a lack of patience and support, making learning environments much less supportive. The curse of knowledge can lead to insufficient or unclear feedback. Teachers might provide feedback that assumes a higher level of understanding, making it less effective for students who need more basic, clear judgments. Students may feel frustrated and discouraged if they can't follow the material, potentially leading to decreased motivation and engagement. They might also feel embarrassed to ask questions, feeling that they should already know the answers. When creating assessments, educators might overestimate the student's background knowledge, leading to tests that are too difficult or not aligned with the material that was actually taught. The next one we're going to look at is the Dunning-Kruger effect. I see this one a lot within my trade when people are going to do their red seals. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where people with low ability, knowledge, or expertise in a particular area overestimate their competence. Essentially, they're not skilled enough to recognize their lack of skill, leading them to believe they are more capable. Screen again, story guys. Leading them to believe they are more capable than what they actually are. Which can go on the other end of the spectrum as well, where intelligent people doubt themselves and don't think they are as capable as what they are. Its impact on learning. Students who experience the Dunning-Kruger effect may become overconfident in their abilities, leading them to underestimate the amount of effort required to succeed. This can result in lower performances, as they might not study or prepare adequately. Overconfident students might dismiss or ignore just constructive criticism and feedback, believing that they're already proficient in the area. This can hinder their ability to learn from their mistakes. In group settings, students affected by the Dunning-Kruger effect might dominate discussions or group work, potentially overshadowing more knowledgeable peers and leading to group inefficiency. Educators might misinterpret overconfident students as being more competent than they are, leading to inappropriate levels of challenge or support within the classroom. Cognitive biases impact on learning. The first one we'll look at is information processing. Cognitive bias can significantly influence the way we process information. Here are a few ways that it affects information processing. Biases such as confirmation bias lead us to pay more attention to information that confirms existing beliefs and ignore information that contradicts them. This can skew our perception of reality and limit the ability to consider alternative viewpoints. Biases like these are like the availability heuristic cause us to rely on immediate examples that come to mind when evaluating the topic. Events that are more memorable or recent are given undue weight, which can distort our perception of probability and frequency. The anchoring bias causes us to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter. This initial anchor can influence our subsequent judgments and decisions, even if it is irrelevant or misleading. The Dunning-Kruger effect leads individuals to overestimate their knowledge or abilities. This can result in poor decision making and may not seek out additional information or expertise. How does it affect teacher-student interaction? Cognitive bias can significantly impact teacher-student interactions in several ways. Teachers might seek out information that confirms their existing beliefs about a student. If a teacher believes a student is a high achiever, they might focus more on that student's success and overlook their struggles, and vice versa, students they may perceive as underperforming. Initial impressions or information about a student can serve as an anchoring, influencing future interactions and judgments. For example, a student's performance on the first assignment may set a tone for how the teacher views their abilities throughout the rest of the year. Teachers may unknowingly use complex terminology that is difficult for students to understand, assuming that students have the same foundational knowledge. This results in students feeling confused and overwhelmed. Or teachers may move too quickly through the material, believing students grasp their concept as easily as what they do. This can leave students struggling to keep up and not fully comprehend the subject matter. When teachers are affected by the curse of knowledge, they might set unrealistic expectations for the student's performance. They may also give feedback that is too vague or assumes too high a level of understanding, making it difficult for students to improve. If teachers do not recognize the gap in knowledge, they might not see the need to use encouraging and varied teaching methods. This can lead us to a lack of motivation and interest amongst the students. Teachers under the influence of the curse of knowledge might become impatient with students who are struggling, thinking that material is easier than it is. This can create a disconnect and affect the teacher-student relationship activity. The curse of knowledge can significantly impact teacher-student interactions in the following ways. Teachers who are subject to the curse of knowledge might not explain concepts the way they should. It could be inconsistent pacing. Teachers might move through material too quickly. Lack of patience, inadequate feedback, reduced engagement, missed opportunities or learning, and classroom environment. Cognitive bias can significantly influence classroom environment, affecting both teacher and learning experiences. Here are some key impacts. Confirmation bias. Teachers may favor information that confirms their preconceptions about a student, leading to unfair treatment and missed opportunities for student growth. The curse of knowledge can have a significant impact on classroom environment, affecting both teacher effectiveness and student learning. Communication challenges, assumed knowledge, once again, teaching pace and overlooking explanations. Important details, explanations might be omitted as teachers assume that they already know and understand this material. Assessment feedback and unrealistic expectations. Vague feedback. Feedback that provided by teachers may be brief or complex, making it difficult for students to understand. Empathy and patience. Teachers might become impatient with students once again, and empathy should be there for that student. A lack of support. Students may not receive the necessary support and encouragement if the teachers assume they should already understand the material. Student engagement and missed opportunities. Teachers might rely heavily on the first impressions of a student's performance, which can color their expectations and interactions with that student. For example, the student who performs well initially on a test may be expected to do this way for the rest. Some ways we could mitigate cognitive bias within our classroom would be awareness and training. Teachers should be educated about cognitive biases and their potential impact. Professional development programs can include training on recognizing and counteracting these biases. Objective assessment tools, implementing standards, rubrics, and assessment criteria can help reduce subjective judgments influenced by biases. Reflective practices, encouraging teachers to regularly reflect their interactions and decisions to identify and address any biases. Diverse perspectives, fostering a teacher environment where teachers can discuss and challenge each other's perceptions and biases. Inclusive teaching practices, use teaching strategies that promote equity and inclusion, such as differential instruction and cultural responsive teaching. Regular feedback, teachers should seek feedback from students and colleagues to gain different perspectives on their teaching practices and interactions. Being aware of and addressing cognitive biases, teachers can create a more equitable and supportive learning environment that fosters positive teaching-student relationships and enhances student outcomes. In conclusion, cognitive bias profoundly influence our learning process. They can shape our perceptions, decision-making, and even willingness to accept new information. By recognizing and understanding these biases, understanders and learners alike can take proactive steps and mitigate their effects, fostering a more accurate and open-minded approach to learning. Embracing strategies such as metacognition, critical thinking, and reflective practices can help counteract and enrich educational experiences. As we continue to explore the landscape of cognitive biases, we unlock the potential to cultivate environments that encourage intellectual growth and lifetime learning. That is the end of my presentation. I would like to thank you guys once again for joining me today. We got through without a power loss. Here. Okay, well, thank you guys.
No, absolutely. Thank you for being very clear and letting us join your presentation. And it's never easy to present and do all the tech stuff as well.
It's not, no. It's definitely so there was a big learning curve with me with PowerPoint. That is, you can do so much stuff on that. And the Zoom itself and just interacting both. And I found I wanted to keep when I was doing it, just to when I'm switching the slides, go through your notes. If you want to watch over there, because you switch your slide instead of going up through your note. I've done that a few times. Yeah. But thank you for bearing with me.
Yeah, good job, James. It was very clear.
Okay.
Yeah, there was very clear flow.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Any questions?
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your. Oh, that was a good question. What made you choose this topic?
I think the Dunning-Kruger effect, because I teach the apprenticeship for Boilermakers in Newfoundland, and usually when they go in and write their Red Seal government exams, the people that come out clicking their heels and feeling great don't do so well, and the people that do so, that the really smart people come out thinking, I don't think I passed this, and they end up in the 90s, and the people that are so happy and excited, a lot of them don't do so well. And the Dunning-Kruger effect, it also it's smart people that doubt themselves. It's the other side of the spectrum as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was both sides. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it's both sides, and I see that a lot as well within the trade. Like really capable people, they question themselves so much.
Yeah. What do you think is the root of the Dunning-Kruger? Is it a combination of multiple biases, or is it like what's the root that makes it go either way? Like it can go,
maybe
you think you're so much better.
Personal Um, I guess it would be just an inner belief in oneself, but if with the lack of knowledge, I guess if you just have a little bit of knowledge, I guess you hang on to that and you have a lot of faith in it. Whereas if you have a lot of knowledge, you realize you really don't know a lot. There's a whole lot out there to learn.
Hmm. Yeah, the more you know, the less you know.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. The more you think,
Interesting.
yeah.
The more you think you
Yeah.
Oh,
Within the Boilermaker trade, you'll never see it all or learn it all. Yeah, it's like anything, I guess. So what do you got?
What's that?
pardon?
What are you guys teaching? What are you guys doing this course for?
Oh,
Welding teacher. I'm a welding instructor.
Okay.
and I'm a massage therapy instructor.
Oh, awesome. That's what I'm hoping my daughter's going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. And Newfoundland's also a registered province, so
Right on.
it's a good hands-on trade.
And a
Yeah.
welder, Boilermakers, we are welders, so we have a little niche there together.
Yeah,
Okay.
I worked in 359 before too. Yeah.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Awesome. Well, guys, good luck with your course. I'm sure you'll do well.
Yeah.
You
And when
too.
I figure out what I'm going to be talking on, I'll let y'all know.
Awesome. Thanks for joining.
Sounds good.
Thanks for having
Yeah.
us. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.